Hello, everyone. I'm Kyle Springer, Senior Analyst at the Perth US Asia Center. Our research team has worked on a puzzling economic problem for the past 5 years. The problem is this, that for two neighboring G20 countries with complementary economies, Australia and Indonesia trade the least. You can see that on this table here, which is a list of G20 countries and the share of trade that they do with their neighbors. Australia and Indonesia are all the way at the bottom. Now, trade isn't the only way to measure economic relations between two countries. Foreign direct investment is also important. However, the investment story doesn't give us much confidence either. Bilateral investment as a share of sender outward and recipient inward in 2018 was negligible. Neither Australia nor Indonesia are major investors in each other's economies. And you can see the investment figures on this table here. It is clear from these figures that trade and investment between both countries have yet to fully take shape. And that's why the recently concluded Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement is so important. You'll hear this agreement referred to as IA-CEPA, or also pronounced IA-CEPA. It's the first major bilateral effort undertaken specifically to strengthen economic ties between both countries. The agreement has been ratified in both countries' legislatures, but it has yet to enter in force. It has yet to take effect. Let's take a look at what's in the agreement. What you see here is a visualization of the tariff reductions and the tariff rate quotas the agreement establishes. Also, you can see the service market access gains for Australian investment. The blue figures are the Indonesian tariffs and tariff rate quotas on Australian goods. The red are Australian tariffs on Indonesian goods. The green figures are the service market access gains for Australia. This has to do with how much Australia can invest in Indonesia in specific sectors. I want to hone in briefly on the tariff rate quotas, or TRQs, and explain how they work. Basically, Indonesia has agreed to allow in a specific volume or amount, a quota, of a product tariff-free. Any additional exports beyond the quota are then subject to a tariff. An important feature of the TRQs is that they include a yearly percent increase in the volume that they allow in. Take, for example, the live cattle TRQ. In the first year, it allows in 575,000 cattle at a 0% tariff. Every year after, the quota increases by 4%, reaching 700,000 in year 6. So as I mentioned earlier, Australia and Indonesia are in the process of developing a deeper economic relationship. What I've discussed so far are traditional instruments of trade, like lowering tariffs and establishing TRQs. Now I want to shift my focus briefly to another aspect of IA-CEPA. IA-CEPA's Chapter 18 on institutional provisions sets up 9 committees to oversee the agreement's implementation and its workings after it enters into force. The preeminent committee is called the Joint Committee, and it'll be a ministerial level committee consisting of at least both trade ministers. The committee's job is also to examine ways both countries can enhance their economic relations. There is another committee that will focus on driving the agenda for economic cooperation. In fact, IA-CEPA embodies this idea of economic cooperation as an approach. It seeks to activate specific opportunities and address the regulatory problems that exist between Australia and Indonesia. I call these components of IA-CEPA the platform elements, and that they provide a platform for advancing deeper ties in an economic relationship that really has yet to take shape. Now, back to investment. One of the aims of the treaty is to increase investor confidence. It establishes a mechanism called Investor State Dispute Settlement, or ISDS. It establishes a pathway for investors to enforce the protections guaranteed to them under the agreement, and it's a step in the right direction. Under the agreement, Indonesia has agreed to open up certain sectors to varying degrees of Australian investment as well. You can see these sectors again in the isometric city infographic. They are the green figures. Foreign investment in Indonesia is also regulated by what they call the Negative Investment List, or DNI. There's been a lot of reporting about Indonesia publishing a new list, which would open up a number of new previously closed sectors to foreign investment. There is also the possibility that Indonesia, under its jobs creation omnibus bill, that it will open up foreign investment in different sectors through that process as well. So this is a ever-changing space and something to keep an eye on. On the other hand, Australia has no investment restrictions similar to Indonesia's negative investment list. Instead, only investments over a certain value threshold and in certain high-risk assets trigger a review by the Foreign Investment Review Board. Known as the FIRB, this body approves more investment deals than it denies. In short, Australia is open for Indonesian business. I hope this is a useful overview of the trade agreements. In this newsletter, we've included my analysis of how the current COVID-19 pandemic could affect IAHEPA's entry into force. Read that for a short, up-to-date briefing. Please feel free to get in touch with me over email if you have any follow-up questions or would like to know more about IAHEPA. Thank you very much, and stay safe and healthy. Thank you.